Hello, welcome back. So today we will start with the next chapter. So today's chapter is about classes from Java library. Okay, so we will take a look because in the previous two chapters, we discussed user-defined classes. So in this chapter, we will discuss string class in Java and string builder and the string buffer classes. Okay, and this chapter also cover regular expression and some other wrapper class. So let's take a look. So we will first discuss string builder and the string buffer. And we already saw quite a number of examples about string, using string. Okay, so we are quite familiar. And as what we already learned, for objects in Java, they reside on the heap memory, okay? And so Java programs treat all string letters. String letters, whatever in the double quotation, okay, they are considered string letters. So they are all considered as instances of the string class. So they are objects of the string class, okay. One key feature, if you recall previously, we also mentioned in previous chapter, is the string is immutable. Okay, so you cannot modify a string once you create it. So it holds a sequence of characters, and we cannot modify on heap. This is different, okay, from what so far we have shown. And if you recall, generally speaking, in a user-defined class, we have two type of method accessors. So they are used to retrieve the instance variables values, and the other is mutators. And the mutator are used to modify the instance variables. Okay, so if we want the class immutable, okay, then we can provide the class without mutator, okay, without a mutator, so no set method. Then you cannot, if just accessor, you can, generously you cannot modify, okay, but we will also see there are some points we need to be careful. And if you recall last class, we also discussed the keyword final, okay. And for final, if you recall, that's the instance variable we define as a final. So we can also use that to define the class as final. Then if you use final define class, then that means you cannot modify it. So this is the general concept about Java's string class. And here we also discuss some strategies that you can use to maintain class immutability, okay? And here the case is when class has mutable instance variables, when it has. So its instance variable may be immutable, may be mutable. Okay, so how do we make the class then immutable? One is we don't provide mutator. Okay, so that you cannot modify the instance variable. Okay, and the second strategy is don't share references to the mutable instance variables. So what does this mean is your accessors. Okay, remember access is to get something, is it to get something? So you're going to return some value, is it? So if the return, I suppose in the previous example, for our class is a person class. So if you said, okay, you return, you have a method called return person. Okay, and then if you just do that to return this, is it? Okay, then in this case, you return the object. You return the object, so even though you don't provide, not this, okay, suppose you have another class, A, and within that class, you have a type person, and it's called member. Okay, and what you do is you're going, generally speaking, what we return is we are going to return that M member. Is it? So for our return method, is it return that M member. Then in this case, that M member is person. So basically, you return the object yourself, and then you can still modify it. Is it? So here is that we don't provide access to those mutable. If you do need to provide, then we shouldn't provide the member itself because this is supposed to be private. You're not supposed to expose it. So what you do need, if we do need to provide such a method, then you can have that clone method, called the clone method. You clone the instant and the return so that this object itself still protected. Okay, so just be careful so that we can return some deep copy. Okay. So keep this in mind. Don't return shallow copy if instance variable is private and the type is object type. And also the third strategy is that never store references to some external mutable object passed to the constructor. Okay. And if needed, you store deep copy of the mutable objects through cloning. Okay, so similar idea. So here, like for this class, is it the constructor A? If it has a parameter, it's a person like P parameter, P parameter. Okay, then in this case, when you pass in, is it the constructor? So what it's going to do is that member, you're going to set it to P parameter. And basically this is P parameter, then M member is just alias of that P parameter. Is it? And in main, if you call this A method, is it, and pass in something X, and here you have that person X, or not a person, yeah, it's a person. You have that person X equals mu something created, is it? Then in this case, basically, it still violate this member should be private. rule, okay, because you can still modify this member through this parameter. And P parameter and AX, they point to the same heap memory location. So it's still modifiable. Okay, so that's not good. So what we do want to do is you can call the clone, make a deep copy and pass it. Then it's going to be protected. Okay, so that's the idea here. So just keep in mind, okay, when we have instance variable, the type is object for our classes, mutator and accessor, including constructor, we need to be careful. And in our textbook, we also provided the table for the string class. It includes the selected instance method because string class is immutable. If you take a look, we don't have any of the instance methods that can do the modification work. So no mutator here. They are all accessors. Okay, if you take it's either do some compare or you see get some carries. They are mostly get functions. But you may ask, oh, how about this replace? Is it? But replace it return string. Okay, it returns a new string. Okay. Okay, and there are two other string-related class called StringBuilder and StringBuffer. Both of them, they are mutable. Okay, so they allow modification of the contents. Okay, and they also quite efficient and useful when we deal with repeatedly want to append to insert or delete for the original character sequence. Okay, then in this case, we can use string builder and string buffer. And this table also give a comparison among the three. So then you may ask, what's the difference then between string builder and the string buffer? Is it so? String builder is preferred for single thread program, so it's not a thread safe. But for string buffer, it's a thread safe. So that's the difference. And we will cover a thread programming in Java later on. Okay, so that's the major contents about a string builder, and string buffer. Here is uh, 4 hour break. So let's take a look at this photo. So I took this photo at a national park. Okay, and here is a video about this national park. It's very beautiful. Yeah. So if you went there, you know what national park it is. Okay. You can guess, and we will review the answer at the end of this chapter. So that's all for this lecture. I will see you all in our next lecture.